Welcome to the next episode of For the Sake of Heaviness. My name is Merciful Mike, and I'm with
Butch Balich.
tonight. Since it seems to be the trending topic amongst all of us metal nerds, Black Sabbath. We decided we are going to go through the Ozzy years albums, including 13, and pick out our personal favorite, our personal best, and our personal not so favorite, the worst. Now, I think, Butch, you kind of agree with me on this as a disclaimer. There's really no such thing as a bad Black Sabbath song.
No, I mean there's a couple duffers in the catalog, but I mean these Ozzy records. I mean, let's no spoiler alerts or anything like that. But taking 13 aside, I mean I don't think you can go wrong with the first eight
Yeah,
Sabbath albums. It was really hard for me to pull worst song on
yeah,
some of these. There are a couple that were easy for me, but mostly it was a challenge. And so the best song was a challenge on almost all of them.
yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah, big time.
there were a couple that, again, there's a couple that were obvious, but some I was just like,
Yeah,
it could be this, it could be, oh, what about if what about this one? And
yeah,
so it's tough, man, because I think you, like me, I mean, we're huge Sabbath fans. We're Doom fans, so you
yeah.
kind of I don't know any Doom fan that doesn't like Sabbath unless we start getting into breaking Doom into these
The
categories
little
and into the Death
subgenres.
Doom
Yeah.
stuff. Like then you might find, but I mean, it's kind of like a rule. Like you got if you like Cathedral and you like Witchfinder General and you like
Yeah.
Trouble and you like Pentagram and you like um,
Saint
Mono
Vitus.
Lord and
Yeah.
Electric Wizard and Saint Vitus. I mean, if you
Yeah.
like Candlemass, if
Yep.
you don't like Sabbath, then we have to question why because it
It
doesn't make
doesn't make
it
any
doesn't make
sense.
it doesn't make
No.
any sense. I mean, they're the root of everything in Doom, and they're the obviously you know the people can argue otherwise, but I think for me, for sure, for a lot of people, it's ground zero for metal in
Yeah,
terms of like really being the first band to kind of like pull it together beyond just being loud. I mean,
exactly.
loud is one thing. This is like
Being heavy
they
is
were
another.
shockingly
Yeah.
heavy for their day,
Yep. Yep.
and
Completely
definitely
agree.
set the stage for what came after.
Yeah,
So
all those bands you just mentioned basically need to bow down to the throne that has upon it Black Sabbath. Yeah, that's the for me and I think for most everybody, that's the universal starting point when it comes to metal and things heavy, and especially like you just said, if you're a Doom fan, then you have no choice. You've got to give it up to Black Sabbath.
yeah, and I think most of those bands do openly acknowledge it. It's funny that
Yeah.
the one that sticks out to me, the one band that, and I don't understand this one, but supposedly, Dan Fondelius from Count Raven claimed to never be like a big Sabbath fan or hadn't really like they weren't like a big influence, and that's the one. I'm not making fun or anything, but I just
Right.
kind of shake my head because if you listen to Count Raven, they sound exactly
Exactly like Black
like Black
Sabbath.
Sabbath, and Dan's voice, I mean,
Yep.
sounds exactly like Ozzy's. I mean, it's
Yeah.
down
And
to some of the cadences and things. It's
yeah.
so it's funny. Every once in a while, you get that band that's like, no, we weren't that big a they weren't that big an influence. It's like
They never clicked with me very much. Like, what?
yeah.
Yeah, that just doesn't make any kind of sense. So, all right, here we go. I'm gonna let you start it off.
All right, let's start it. Starting at the top. the top, the top is the backwards is the top. Whatever. I'm a music guy. I'm not
We're
a
gonna,
brain surgeon.
we're gonna start at the top and work our way
If
back,
you
or
want
however you
brain
want to do it.
surgery, go talk to a King Crimson fan or
There you
something.
go.
I love King Crimson, by the way. Um, all right, starting with the debut album. For me, this is one of the ones that was easy for me. The title track, the band's namesake, Black Sabbath. It's the literal blueprint for doom metal,
Yeah,
right there. Like I said before, ground zero for metal. It's ominous, creepy, so heavy. The devil's tritone. I
yeah,
mean, it's you got the slow evil parts, and then
Yep.
it picks up the speed, so you get the time changes in there. It's just like so to this day crushingly heavy, I
Oh,
think.
yeah,
And for
absolutely.
mood, I mean, you can't. It's the mood in it is phenomenal. Barely, rarely ever captured. And I forget who was just saying this, but the bells at the beginning and stuff. I mean, you put bells in songs. I mean, it's like
Oh, who was
uh,
just saying that? Was that Gaffney?
someone.
I think it was Gaffney. You
Well,
put a
it must have been John because I was
yeah.
watching one of his videos and because he was talking about for whom the bell tolls
Yeah, yeah. He says you
and
put
the
a bell
bell
on anything and you got me.
I mean, yeah, at the beginning of this song, the freaking the rain and the bells, and then just that, that
Yeah.
that riff and
Yep.
sick man.
Just
Uh,
skull crushing. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and there's a reason that it's was always in this. I remember seeing them in '99. It was cool. They opened with it, and those dudes came up from under the stage on it. They got on lifts. They came through like the dry ice
Yeah.
covering the stage. They came up through the floor. It was freaking
Just
It was
nuts.
awesome. Yeah, it was really cool. So that's my ship. Do you want to go back and forth like
Yeah,
best and
you
then
can do
worst? You want me to do my
yeah,
worst too?
you can do them both. Sure, why not?
So best is Black Sabbath. For me, again, I like the whole record. I don't ever skip anything when I listen to it. I'm not as hip on Warning as the rest of the
Really?
record. Um, it's hard for me to parse it out because like I really couldn't pick Warning over. It came down to like I just couldn't put anything else. Like I couldn't put Wicked World under it,
Right. Yep.
or The Wizard,
Yep.
or I love NIB.
NAP. Yep.
So, and I didn't want to like name like just some of these little bits and pieces names of things.
Sure.
I don't know. Warning is good. But it's just kind of like really just kind of like a blues,
Yeah.
and it's a cover.
Hmm.
So, that's that's my least favorite. I still
Yeah.
think it's a good song. Again, I listened to it the album the whole way through. So,
Yeah.
and I also like I love the cover of Evil Woman that's on the UK versions of the record.
Yeah.
So
Sure. Gotcha. Well, I'm gonna be just like you, and the title track, Black Sabbath, that's my favorite. I think that's the best song on the album for all the reasons that you mentioned. And I remember, being a kid the first time I heard that and thinking, "Jeez, what?" Just absolute steamrolled over you. Just
yeah,
it's
what
very hard to put
sorcery
into
is this?
words. Yes, yeah, it's very hard to put into words. Just how that made you feel, that first time. And like you said, the devil's tritone, dun, 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 and just that the way they would hang on that note
So
and Bill's
evil.
drums are rolling. Oh
Yeah,
man, just incredible, So yeah, and I mean that's been the template for everything after. So, and then like you said, the way it set the mood with the bells and the rain and all that, and then you open up that gatefold and there's that upside down cross, and you're like, what is, I think that was like the first taste of evil for a lot of people.
seriously.
Like, I was like, what is going on here? I remember reading in like Tony's book and Geezer's book, and that upside down cross inside the gatefold was not an original idea, and I can't remember the whole story behind that, but I remember that they said so many people were shocked, and that just put that Satan, notation on them with that little asterisk, like good band, Satan though. Watch out.
Yeah,
you know.
El Diablo.
So yeah, I love that song. That's my favorite. Least favorite, and it's still good, but I'm gonna go with the cover from Crow, Evil Woman. Cool song, and everything, but I can kind of do without it. It's always kind of stood out just a little bit more from the album that it's, not Sabbath. It's just them kind of covering a song.
Yeah.
Just a funny little side note too. Crow actually played a high school right here in my hometown back
Oh,
in
really?
'69. Yeah, I can't remember if they actually played. It might have been a prom that they played, and that single had. I don't know if it had gotten any popularity yet. I can't remember. Obviously, I wasn't even around when they played. That was a couple years before I was born. But yeah, later on, I found out. Doing the two-step away from Sabbath thing. I was like, oh shit, Crow actually played in my hometown at Trumper High School. So
Wild.
yeah, neat little tidbit. So yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
self-titled Black Sabbath song and is my favorite, my best. And Evil Woman is still a good song, but just my least favorite on the album.
I think it also needs to be said too, in terms of Ozzy's vocal performance on Black Sabbath. You know, nowadays and for years now, really, there's always the discussion about who's the best Black Sabbath vocalist,
Hmm.
and Ozzy debates over whether Ozzy can, really sing or any of this. But it's one of those arguments. It's not about is Ozzy a great singer.
Right.
The question is, was Ozzy the best singer for Sabbath at that time? And the
Yeah.
answer is yes. Like there's no other singer. I love Dio's my favorite singer of all time.
Sure.
You could not put Ronnie James Dio on this record and
No.
get the same mood. Like Ozzy's voice has like it invokes like fear
Right.
and terror, and there's an emotion in it that a better singer, I don't know who else could have pulled it off. It's kind of like like for me when I debate St. Vitus with people, like if personally I like Wino's voice better than Rieger's, but
Hmm.
Scott Rieger's is better for St. Vitus. Like his
100%.
voice is just demented and fits that style better
100%.
than Wino's ever did, in my
Yeah.
opinion. And that's nothing against either singer.
No, no. I agree with you too. There's, it was that, I don't know, perfect storm. Everything came together for a reason. And Ozzy's unique, very identifiable voice, that was his stamp on his band at that time. And it all worked. It all came together perfectly. None of us ever knew it would. They didn't know it would, but look what it became. So
Yeah,
I agree with you wholeheartedly. He was the absolute right singer, best singer for Sabbath during that era. No question asked.
for sure.
Paranoid. What you got?
All right, my favorite song in here, I'm going to go a little bit off the beaten path. And my favorite song in this album is actually Hand to Doom. Um, man,
Yeah.
the even down to the little stuff. And I think we talked about this before at some point. I forget what the topic was. So we were talking about drummers
Hmm.
and just like that little stuff Bill does there, like those rim shots and the clicking on the rim of the during the. I just love that whole thing. That song for me is just. I mean, as much as I like all the other songs on the record, I think there is some um, burnout too when it comes to as much as I love War Pigs and Paranoid and
Hmm.
Iron Man. Those are the first songs Paranoid and Iron Man were the first things
Yeah,
I ever heard by Sabbath.
sure.
So there's some where over the years that I don't know that I still would have picked one of them over Hand of Doom, but Hand of Doom over the years has become like that's my jam from the record. I love that song.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
I kind of cheated a little bit with the worst one, not because it's not listed separately, but just it's like a short instrumental kind of. I just picked Rat Salad.
Yeah.
Um, it's its own name track, and it's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
FX or something like that, where I feel like I was really cheating.
Sure.
Um, a lot of people probably lean towards I don't know I love Planet Caravan.
I
It's like
love
one of my
Planet
favorite
Caravan.
songs they ever did,
Yeah.
and it came down for me between Rat Salad and I'm gonna get killed for this, but Electric Funeral
Oh,
was the other
wow.
one, and I was just like I couldn't. I listened to them both a few times back to back, and I'm like I'm going with Rat Salad because. But
Wow.
again, these records are like 10-star
Yeah.
records, so it's not like I think either song sucks. It
Right,
just
right.
Rat Salad's kind of like 2.5 minute, kind of like almost like we got a couple of riffs.
Let's just jam for a
Let's just
minute.
put them together and put them on
Yeah.
the record, kind of thing. It is what it is. I mean, and
Yeah.
it could have been part of another song, and
Sure.
but it's sitting by itself. So it
Yeah.
was fair fucking game.
I love rat salad too. That's fun. That's funny.
I
And I
love it,
love Electric
but it's just
Funeral,
my
man.
least favorite.
No, I know, I know.
Electric funeral, electric funeral.
I'm gonna agree with you once again. Hand of Doom is also my favorite on there, and it's just there's uh there's just so much going on in that song, and the way it's a very haunting song. Starts off, doom, 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 and like you said, the rim shot, and then it's that great big build up, and then it comes back down again, and then it builds up, and then it kind of mellows, and then it goes into that second half jam,
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, every that just gets me every time, like, yeah, then you can't help but just fucking rock out. So yeah, for everything else, like you said too, I love Handed Doom. My least favorite, and I'm just gonna go with pure burnout, is Paranoid. Still a great song, like you said. War Pigs, some of the very first songs we ever heard from Sabbath, but Paranoid, I just heard it so much. The band I was in for quite a while, we played Paranoid every night. We played that. It was like, oh God, here we go again. It's just a strict burnout factor. Still an awesome song, but that's my least favorite. But hell of
yeah.
an album though, Paranoid.
It's funny. Back when I was in, man, I don't know if it was in 10th grade or ninth grade. I think it was in 10th grade because I remember this happening in chemistry class, or it was not. Anyway, there's a kid in my class. Now we all bought cassettes and stuff back.
Yeah.
Most of us were buying cassettes at the time, and
Yep, those two.
everyone's still getting turned on to stuff. So it wasn't unheard of for someone to be getting paranoid for the first time when they're in ninth grade, or
Sure.
even though there are older people that, are 10 years ahead of us because
Yeah.
they came up during the 70s. But,
Hmm.
um, so this kid comes in and we're talking about the record. And I like the cassette and the way that the titles are laid out. He's talking about Luke's Wall. Luke's Wall is awesome. Luke's Wall. And then he starts humming it. And I realize he's not talking about Luke's Wall. He's talking about he thinks Paranoid is
It's
Luke's Wall instead of the connector in between. So I just thought it was funny.
So you think of that all the time now, don't you?
I do when I think of this record. It's just something that sticks out of my head
Yeah,
about talking to this kid in school that and he was. I don't remember if he was a big like total music nerd or anything, but it was just like I'm like, what are you talking about? Like,
that's funny how those little, stories and nuances throughout your life stick with you like that when it comes to music.
yeah, I mean, yeah. Of all the stories, I don't know why it stood out, but
It just does.
it did.
That's great. Okay, let's move on to the next one. That one.
Master of Reality. On any given day, it could be my favorite Sabbath record. Today, it's not my favorite Sabbath record, but it's close. My favorite song on the record is "Into the Void." It's absolutely monumentally crushing, heavy. Um, man, my next favorite is probably "After Forever." It's not that far behind, but "Into the Void" is like one of my five favorite Sabbath songs ever. Just
Oh,
that riff is just
yeah,
like
nuts. Yeah,
so heavy and catchy, and I just love everything about that song. It kills me every time when
yeah,
when that riff first comes in. It's just
sure,
freaking
sure.
Iommi starts cranking that riff. I'm like, oh my god, it's it just a perfect song.
Yeah, that's great. A great, great tune, man.
And I'm probably gonna get killed for this one, but I love Solitude, and uh, that doesn't leave too many. If I don't pick Orchid or something like that, it doesn't. So Lord of this World is my least favorite song on the record. Like, what's that telling you? When a song that good is your least favorite? I mean, but I just love the mood of Solitude. I don't know. Most people, I think most people I know would probably go towards that one if they were picking like a song
Yeah, yeah,
on the record. I don't know. Lord of this World is still great, but of all
sure.
the heavy ones, it's my least favorite of the heavy ones. I just
No,
again, it's a 10-star record. What are you gonna do?
I know.
What you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, your back's against the wall trying to pick, best and worst because, like you said, they're all 10 stars. So you start to nitpick, and that's basically what all we're doing here is nitpicking. But no,
Yeah,
I know what you mean. I totally know what you mean. So now as much as I said burnout for Paranoid, my favorite song to this day still remains to be Children of the Grave. And
great
I
song.
man, it's just I love the dun, 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 that whole build up and then that chug. Dun, 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 dun. And I don't care what anybody says, and none of them dudes have ever told me this. And I can't remember ever reading it anywhere. But for me, as massive as a Trouble fan as I am, I can't help but think that song was a blueprint for a lot of the stuff those guys did. Just
Dude,
because of the Go ahead, go ahead.
exactly. I was just gonna say like that. So Children of the Grave is like a template kind of song for
It
like
is.
what the 80s, like the doom bands that started picking things up in the 80s, like Trouble,
Yeah,
did that whole chug in
exactly.
there. I mean, it's totally like whereas the song Black Sabbath, is for the slow,
Right.
heavy, you're Pray for the Deads and you're the Skulls and Saint Vitus and stuff. But Children of the Grave, I mean, is like everywhere. You can
Right.
find that song in like
Yeah.
every Doom band's catalog
Yeah.
somewhere. There's a version of Children
Yeah.
of the Grave.
When they are just straight chugging along, that's straight, like you said, that's straight Children of the Grave. That was the blueprint. So, and I still I love that song. I love everything about it. Gets you just, reared up, headbanging the whole thing.
I love
Fantastic
Bill's
song.
drumming on that song too, man.
Oh, and you know
There's
what?
so
I
many cool
love
things he does.
There is, and I love like the little extra percussion stuff that's going on, like on top of it. There's that extra
Yeah,
layer.
exactly.
Sounds so badass, man.
It
Yep.
is.
Love
It's
all of that.
awesome.
So I'm going to agree with you on Lord of this World
Wow.
for a very dumb reason. For whatever, I don't know, and I kind of remember us making a little bit of fun of this, but it always irritated me when Ozzy would come in and go, Lord of this world, and it just always sounded fucking stupid to me. And every time we play that, we would all go, Lord of this world. It just sounded off or goofy or I don't know. It just didn't sound quite right. And that's always stuck with us. And we've always kind of poked fun, or at least I have. I've always poked fun of it. Even today, if I got it playing on the stereo and I'm doing something else, I know it's coming up. And when it does, no matter where I am, I'll be like, Lord of this
I got you.
world.
I
It's so
follow you on that,
stupid.
man. That's one of those things like if you're listening to Maiden and Peace of Mind and Quest for a Friday, in a time when dinosaurs walk the earth.
Yes. It's like you go like you're on a Broadway play, all of a sudden you start acting it all out and shit.
Yeah.
I swear to God, man. So for that stupid reason alone, I put Lord of this world at the bottom. Goofy, but I will say though, that's one of Iommi's finest solos. I mean, he goes to town on that song. He really does. But yeah, just that one verse just kills me every time. Okay, number four, volume four.
Volume 4.
Four.
My favorite on this one is Supernauts. Again, just that freaking riff. And it's funny. I love all the Sabbath records, and I was probably the least familiar for a while with Sabbath Volume 4. I don't know that I had it like in I'd heard it. I don't know that I had it in
Hmm.
my collection yet. This is going back to like 91, whenever Lollapalooza was, that it was Pearl Jam and Soundgarden and Ministry and
That's like 91, 92, right?
91, 92. And of course, I'd heard Volume 4, but I wasn't as familiar with it as some of the other records. I didn't have it in my collection yet. And those dudes, Ministry, Ministry was playing, and Kim Thale came out on stage with them, and they played Supernaut, the Thousand Homo DJs
Yeah.
thing. And I just remember like it just cemented for me like that how epically heavy that and catchy that main riff is
Yeah.
in that song. Man, I just
Dun, dun,
I
dun,
mean,
dun, 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 dun. Those open notes right there, that dun, 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 dun. I know that sounds
seriously, I
so
mean,
awesome, man.
it's so sick. It just like total like hair on the arms, stand up, like
Yes. Yep.
chills up the back, like headbang
Yeah.
territory for me. I cannot hear that song without just being like,
Yep.
Doom.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
I
made
know.
it,
Oh,
Doom.
I just thought if it's on in the like in the truck or like wherever I am and it comes on, I'm always like playing the hi hat. At the
Yeah,
beginning there. It's like you gotta get going on it right away.
yeah, freaking
That's a
godly
good pick.
song.
Fucking good
Uh,
pick.
Least favorite, no surprise, changes. I don't hate the song. Um, Actually, I think it's a great song, but the version I think that's great is done by Charles Bradley. I mean,
That is a
um,
really good
it's a
version.
tremendous version of the song,
Never
and
expected
like
that.
for me, that's one of those covers that transcends the original, and I think is the signature version of that song. I don't know. I don't. It's not that I don't hate it, but it's
Yeah.
kind of not. It's not my thing.
Yep.
Um, it is what it is. I mean, again, I don't really skip it when I play the album because I like the
Sure.
album, as I like the flow of the record. I just think that it's the first time in the catalog where you get to like an actual full, like where it's a true song, not a snippet of something where you're like, they,
Yeah.
maybe they misstepped a little bit there. Like maybe that drops the album to like a 9 for me.
Yep. Yep.
Across the first four, like it drops it down just a little bit
Yeah.
compared to the three that preceded it. But I mean, it's a well written song. Like I said, Charles Bradley took it and just
Yeah. Made it
freaking
his own.
killed with it
Yeah.
and made it his own thing.
I remember the first time
So
somebody brought that to my attention. They're like, "Hey, have you heard this? You got to check it out." And of course, I was skeptical at first. I was like, "Eh." And then I listened to it, and I was just like, "Holy, whoa!"
I couldn't believe it the first time I heard it,
Yeah.
and then we got to see him play it live the summer before he passed. He did a free show here in Pittsburgh,
No
and it was
way.
phenomenal. Yeah,
That's awesome, man. That must have absolutely captivated that audience when you bust into that, huh?
dude, it was an amazing. He has just Bradley. I mean, I know this isn't like metal or anything, but he just had like a Aaron and I talked about it. And he like came out after the show, like in front of the he came out in front of the stage and was talking to people and meeting people and giving hugs and signing
Sure.
stuff. And he was one of those guys that he just had an aura about him that there's just something about him. He just was like, I can't even describe it. Like he just had this aura of love or something about him. It was,
Wow,
you know, I mean, and he was crazy good on stage. Like he
man.
was amazing. That voice, no, there's a reason they called him the Screaming Eagle of Soul. I mean,
That's cool, man. That's really cool. I don't know. You're the only person I've ever talked to that got to see him live. So that's really cool.
yeah, I feel really. It's one of those shows that I'm like, man, I'm really glad that
Yeah.
we got the chance. It could have gone the other way, and we could have missed them, and I'd
Yeah.
have been sad.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about those shows that we
I know.
didn't
I
get
didn't want to
to.
have it sad.
Yeah. Dude, I'm gonna agree with you on both. Supernaut, my favorite on there. We kind of already went over why, and yeah, same thing for me. Changes. I loved it, when it was kind of new to me, and I was, just listening to the album, for the first, discovery era, and I liked it. And then it got kind of played out, and I'm like, okay, maybe I can do without this song. And then, the Bradley version's good, but then when he redid it, when Ozzy and his daughter redid it, I was kind of like, no,
Yeah,
this is missing the mark. So it just kind of staled it even more for me. So that's my least favorite. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a good song and everything, but I don't go out of my way to listen to it at all.
yeah, same here for sure.
Moving on to Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath.
Again, on any given day, it could be my favorite Sabbath record, and today is such a day. It's been my favorite Sabbath record actually for a while. It
Yeah.
At some point over the last 3 or 4 years, it somehow jumped over Master Reality,
Hmm.
and I love this album. And there's so many good songs on it,
Oh yeah.
and it's really hard to pick a favorite on it. The two that I always went between were Sabracadabra and A National Acrobat, and A
Mhm.
National Acrobat is my favorite song on the album. I just the again, it comes down. I just love that riff and the attitude of
Yeah.
that song, and that vocal, that verse part. I think is killer. Um, man, I just love everything about this record,
Yeah.
and that song, like Jesus, it's a totally underrated Sabbath song. I mean, I know that the title track gets a lot of attention because it is great, but also because Anthrax kind of put it in for
Yeah.
kids my age. They put it out there in the forefront a little bit. But for me, man, I mean, National Acrobat is, and then same with Sabracadabra is
Yeah.
freaking killer. Man, it was hard to pick a least favorite, but I had to go with Who Are You.
Yeah.
For and I toyed with looking for Today, but man, I just love that song
Oh,
for
I
some
love that song.
the
Yeah.
first time I heard it, it's different for the record. It has a different
Yeah.
vibe, and just that it's I know it's kind of got that
Yeah.
it's kind of like this happy kind of
It's an
thing, but
upbeat Black Sabbath song.
yeah, but it's cool. Like I like
Yeah.
there's like little flutes and stuff in there, and
Sure. Sure.
it's got like a little bit of progressive vibe to it. Like I love like the work Wakeman did on the record
Yep.
too.
There's a lot of experimentation on this record, throughout.
Yeah,
Some of it
yeah,
is great. Some of it kind of misses a little bit, like you're saying with Who Are You?
but yeah, Who Are You? I mean, I like it, but it's and again, I don't skip anything on this record. And some
Yeah.
days I listen to this song and I'm like, oh, I love this song. And
Yeah.
some days I'm kind of like, okay, I I don't know. It doesn't really work. It's like I
Yeah.
couldn't have ever seen them, but it is super creepy and the keyboard stuff in it is really cool.
Yeah.
It fits. I think what it is it fits in the flow of the record, but I don't think if you start pulling songs out, if you're naming
Hmm.
songs, like it doesn't. I don't think it stands on its own as well as when it's
Yeah.
part of the whole. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my least favorite. Again, this is a 10-star record for me. So
Sure. Yeah. I'm kind of with you. For me, picking a favorite, it can go anywhere at any time, literally between like those middle albums, like Master of Reality, Volume 4, Sabbath, Black Sabbath, and Sabotage. Those will shuffle constantly. And even the bookend albums can kind of jump in there on occasion too. But Sabbath, Black Sabbath, favorite Spiral Architect, hands
great
down.
song.
There's just a mood about that song, and I love the string arrangements. I love everything in that song with the vibe, and it's kind of grandiose, but the way the intro is, and then the way it comes in with like those descending notes,
Mm-hmm.
and then sorcerers of man, just the way Ozzy comes in on that song just sets the tone, and then it has like a melancholy kind of cloud over it. It's everything about that song is just fantastic. I can listen to that. That's one of them songs where if it's on a CD, I'll usually back it up and play that one more time. Absolutely
It's a
love
gooder,
that
man.
song. Yeah. And then I knew that you and I were gonna have a lot of overlapping choices, but Who Are You is also mine as far as, like we said, not really worst, but least favorite. The keys are cool and everything, but after you've heard this album as many times as we have, that just gets a little exhausting after a while listening to that song, because of the keys and they're so, just like, okay.
And it seems like I don't know the all the stories about the making of the record. It comes across as one of those songs that I could see that these dudes maybe being totally smoked up and just being enamored with
Yeah.
that do do
Yep.
do 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 do, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I do want to say too about this record, like, and just going back to the Ozzy as a singer thing, like, I'm not saying Ozzy's in my top 10 singers of all time. I don't even know if I'd put him in my top 25 as a singer
Hmm.
himself, but anyone that says Ozzy is not a good vocalist, like, I
Yeah.
dare you to go and try to sing this record. Like
Sure.
his voice is so high. He hits notes on this record that like dudes that are better singers
Would struggle.
um would struggle trying to hit
Yeah.
and come across the same way. I mean, it is deceptively high.
I think there's a YouTube video for at least some of the songs on this album where they've got Ozzy's isolated tracks. And I'm always fascinated by those because you're so used to listening to them within, the arena of the actual song. But then when you pull those out and listen to strictly the vocals, that's a whole nother dimension. And you can see where like these singers are really reaching, and Ozzy's no different for all the reasons you just said. It's wild, man.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
he's
who are
crazy
you?
on this record.
Oh yeah. Who are you is cool and everything, but it's a tiring song for me. So that would that would end up being my at the bottom there for me.
Word. Um
Sabotage.
Sabotage. For me, I still think one of the heavy songs ever, maybe the heaviest riff of all time, and that
Say
is
it.
Symptom of the Universe. That is so. The first time I heard that, I was in high school. I remember my buddy Terry was just out here with his girlfriend on a trip, and I just remember the first time I heard this. We went to this kid Carl's house, and Carl put the Sabotage record on. I hadn't heard the album yet, and Hole in the Sky was like whoa.
Yeah.
I'm like that song's killer, and uh, then that riff when that riff came in on Symptom Mirror, I'm like, whoa, wait a
Yep.
second now. Like that is like that riff is it's so simple, but it's so heavy. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't care how heavy metal has gotten over the years. I don't care how extreme it is compared to what came up through the 70s and the 80s. Like that riff to Symptom of the Universe
Yeah.
is maybe the heaviest riff ever written.
Yeah. Yep.
It's God, that song is godly. Um, I cannot hear that song without like turning it up like all the way.
Yeah.
It's crazy heavy. Man,
Yeah,
sick.
it's it's ridiculous.
And on the flip side, my least favorite song on the record, and not that I hate it, but it really sticks out like a sore thumb on this record is "Am I Going Radio? Am I Going Insane?" I mean, it's so funny too because I remember having someone had taped. They gave me a TDK D90 maybe of
The ultimate blank
the
tape.
this is where I'm gonna get thrashed in the greatest hits thing that came out in the
We sold our soul.
I'm an idiot. We sold our soul for rock and roll.
It's
Of all
okay.
the songs to have from Sabotage, that's the one that was on there that represented the record. It's
It's
like
like
if you only
what?
heard that song, you'd be like, that album probably sucks.
I'm gonna pass on
And
that one.
and I don't think the song sucks per se, but it's like it's one of those ones that's just like
Yeah.
this is keeping it from being, and it's an awkward, it just sticks out, like it doesn't
Yeah.
fit, like there's all this other stuff on there with the writ and
Yep.
the thrill of it all and
Sure.
hole in the sky and symptom of the universe and there's all this weird shit like and in between and super czar um and then you get mi tell me people, am I going insane? I don't know. It just it's not a controversial pick. I'm not going out on a limb
No, no,
on
you're
this one,
not.
but it's my least favorite on the record. Again, I don't skip it, but
Right.
it's uh it's a little bit of an odd bird, man.
No. Once again, yeah, the exact ones as you. Symptom of the universe. Yeah. I mean, if that's not, and I mean, people can argue, but if that is not the pinnacle Tony Iommi fucking riff, then I don't know what is. Because that,
Dude.
man, it is perfect. It's so damn heavy. And, it's, I get a good riff. I hear something, I always right away. I don't even play guitar, but man, I'm playing that air guitar like there's no tomorrow. That's one of those songs that does that. I got a funny story. Well, not even funny story. I just got a story that goes with Symptom of the Universe. Um, Back when I was younger, I used to get allergies. Not really bad, but on occasion, I would get. I didn't have asthma, but I would get like the fucking worst case of bronchitis that is known to man, where my lungs would just seize up and I could not breathe at all. And I didn't have an inhaler. This is back in, I don't know, early 80s or whatever. Anyway, my doctor would give me these pills that would take like 2, 3 hours to open up my lungs.
Mhm.
Well, I was sick as shit, and I'm laying in bed, middle of the night, can't breathe, and I'm like, I got to do something to take my mind off of this, or I'm gonna like go insane. So and it wasn't the Sabbath, it wasn't sabotage, but I had Speak of the Devil, so I put that
Mhm.
in, and it starts off with that, and every time I hear Symptom of the Universe, I think back to my little Speak of the Devil cassette in the boombox, laying in bed, trying to fucking breathe, listening to Symptoms of the Universe. And I would play that whole live album over and over and over again until my lungs would finally open up. So stupid story, but that has always stuck with me as far as like that particular song. And and yeah, that riff. Unbelievable. And then yeah, Am I Going Insane? For me it's almost like a companion piece to Who Are You? It's just that weird kind of what are they doing? This is really missing the mark kind of song. And like you said, it sticks out amongst all the rest of the good stuff that's on that album. So yeah, not a huge fan. Not a bad song. Still like it, but I can kind of do without it on occasion.
Yeah, same here. All
Okay.
right. Now we're getting into some interesting waters. These
Yes,
are,
we are.
I don't know that it seems like these records I feel like aren't as controversial as they used to be. I think there's a lot of revisiting of Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die that
Absolutely.
and reevaluation that's been taking place, and a lot of people that I think maybe years ago, a lot of us that would have said, "Oh, those albums suck."
Yeah.
Don't there's a lot less don't bother with there a lot of the prevailing wisdom on these records was don't bother with them,
Right.
and I don't feel like that's there anymore. I think a lot of people found a lot to like about these records.
And there is a
Certainly for
lot
me,
to
when
like.
yeah, I mean, certainly for me, at one point, like I at least liked the first three songs on Never Say Die. I always like the album as a whole grew on me over the years. But as far as Technical Ecstasy goes, I mean, yeah, I mean they definitely stepped out of their comfort zone in a lot of
Hmm.
places. There's a lot of different stuff on this record, and it's a
Yeah.
really creative record, I think. And
Yep.
a lot of it works, some of it not as well. There's songs on there that I think are decent songs. I question if they're good Sabbath songs. Like
Hmm.
this is not among my best or worst, but like it's all right. Like I think is a really well done
Yeah.
song. I don't I don't fully comprehend it as I don't know if it's a great Black
Sabbath
Sabbath
song.
song.
Yeah.
I think it's cool though, but the song on this record that really gets me is Dirty Women.
Yeah.
Um, and it's that freaking riff when it picks up. I mean, I love the whole song. Those beginning parts are really cool. The more mellow kind of progressive kind of vibe, and then it
Yeah.
goes into
Oh yeah.
that riff like that takes the song out. And it's just like, man, that song is killer.
Yep.
I always love that one and Gypsy and All Moving Parts Stand Still is cool. But
Yep.
yeah, my favorite on here is Dirty Women, hands down. It's also one of my top 10 Sabbath songs of all time. And side note, the Helicopters did a great version of this, although they cut out the whole beginning. They just pick it up where that riff they just do a super rocked up version
Yeah.
of the last half of the song. Um, but I think it's cool, and I think it's cool that they had it in the set list till I think even on the end
On
tour
the end tour. I was just gonna
they were
say that was
playing
like
it.
that was like the lone song that represented technical ecstasy. You know, it was kind of nice that they at least nodded to that album and had that one on there. I would have
Yeah,
preferred something else, but you know, it's just me.
yeah. I think it's a great song. Um, my least favorite song from this record, and I think is maybe the worst song of the Ozzy Osbourne era, probably including 13, all those songs, is Rock and Roll Doctor. This song sucks. I mean, I do not like this song. Um, I know there's friends in our circle that like this song a lot, and man, I just don't like this song. I don't get it. I mean, it's so stupid
What don't
sounding.
you
It's
like
kind of,
about it?
I don't know, because I like stuff that sounds like rock and roll like that. I just
Sure, sure.
it's just I don't know, man. It just doesn't fit at all
Yeah.
with them. And I don't like Ozzy's voice on it. I don't like that vocal line. And man, it's kind of like a, now I like this song, but it's kind of like a No Bone Movies kind of thing where it sticks out like a sore,
Yeah.
like you just hit your thumb with a hammer, like it's a sore fucking thumb that stands out. And this song just always grated on my last nerve. Like, I like every song in this record 20 times more than this, including It's All
Really?
Right and You Won't Change Me and She's Gone and all of that. Like, everything on here is like a classic compared to this song. I just don't like it.
Wow.
It's like, I don't know, it's like bad, I don't know, bad Status Quo or bad Foghat or,
Sure.
you know, just, I just don't like it.
Yeah.
And if you like it, that's cool. We don't have to agree. I mean, the
That's
you
why we
and
do these things.
the royal you, to everyone out there, like if you
The
like it, hey,
universe.
do you. And but if you come to my house, we're skipping that song. If we're on a road trip and you're driving, it's your choice.
Well,
But if I'm driving, I'm skipping it.
well, I'm not going to be in the car with you, I suppose, if we're playing this album then, because I'm going to do this in reverse. It's not my favorite, but I do like Rock and Roll Doctor. Man.
Well,
There's
you're certainly allowed.
there's just I know no, and I've heard both sides of the coin on this one too. But I do like that song. I think it's got a cool groove to it. Is it, 100% grade Black Sabbath? No, not at all. But I still can dig that song. Okay, if I'm gonna go with my favorite, it's Gypsy. There's just a
Great song.
cool vibe about that. I like the way that the lyrics flow. I like the everything about that song. Now I know you said you like everything on there except Rock and Roll Doctor. Now I don't know if I have that extreme of hatred that you do, that level of we're going to skip this song, but She's Gone. Yeah, go get out of here. We're good. I don't need it. Um, that's kind of like I feel about the same way with She's Gone as I do with I'm having a brain fart here. Um, Changes. Sorry. That's how I feel. It's kind of like Changes with me. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like they were trying to revisit that and get that emotion back to it. And I just feel like Ozzy's kind of whining his way through that song. I mean, if you read the lyrical content, yeah, I can see. But I'm like just not digging it. It's like, yeah, we've been here before. We've treaded these waters, and I'm like, no, I don't need it anymore. I'll play Rock
You
and
know
Roll
what
Doctor.
you know what I think appeals to me about that song, and I because I heard Ozzy's first couple few solo records before I heard this album, is there's a vibe to the verse part and She's Gone that reminds me of like the versey, the mellow kind of
I'm
parts of
I think
like
I know exactly what you're gonna say.
Revelation or something
Yep,
like
I
that.
knew you
It's
were gonna
it's
say that.
it's got that, there's just, it's in that vocal melody in there.
Yeah,
There's just that like that kind,
it's
it's,
the
the whole
tone.
song.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it doesn't
tonal
get
value
heavy
is
like,
exactly the same. Yeah,
yeah. And so it always like recalls that record to me, that the Blizzard of Oz record,
yeah,
for whatever reason. And so it always kind of appealed to me. Otherwise it's probably towards the bottom of my list.
yeah.
But it will never sink as It's rock and roll.
Okay. It's going to be a point of contention here for a while, I think.
Yeah, you want to scrap?
You better call your rock and roll doctor. You're going to need him. Okay. On to Never Say Die.
All right. Man, for years, if you'd asked me my favorite song on this record, I would have told you Junior's Eyes. Um, I First of all, I love the way the song comes in off of Johnny Bled. Do do
Yeah.
do do. You know, it just kind of fades in. Do 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 do.
Yep.
Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. But that's not my favorite song on the record. Over the years, like I've come to appreciate some of the different things they were doing, and my favorite song on this record is the jazz rock masterpiece that is Air Dance. I love that song. It's so
Very cool.
different for them. It's them really just going out and going for it, doing something
Sure.
totally like off the map. It shouldn't work, but it does. I just think it's an amazing composition.
Great song.
Um, and as much as I love those first three songs, like Never Say Die,
Yeah.
Rocker, and John, I love the way Johnny Blade starts with the kid, the synth
Yeah.
and stuff at the beginning, and then just heavy. It's got those heavy, those
Yeah.
freaking, those riffs are like classic
Yep.
heavy Sabbath riffs, and the Junior's Eyes has the doomier
Yep.
kind of vibe to it. But Air Dance, man, is just like so. It's just so cool and so different. I just love that song. It's like I said, it really grew on me over the last. I don't know, maybe it was sometime in the last 10 years. It really like I was revisiting this record and I was like, holy shit! Like, man, this song
Yeah.
is killer.
Do you think it's just because like the older we get, I guess this is true. We say this all the time. The older you get, the more you appreciate records that you thought might have sucked, and now they've kind of like revealed themselves a little bit more to you, and you're like, man,
Well, yeah, I mean,
these are
too, it's
great.
like I think we've talked about before. I know I've certainly mentioned this on this show and other shows I've been on. When I was in high school, I mean, I liked some stuff that wasn't heavy,
Yeah.
um, but like there was a lot of stuff that I was like, man, that's really like just not my wheelhouse at the time. Like that's not something I would have. It took me a while to start like really opening up to like more mellow stuff, like singer songwriter stuff, or like jazz or
Right.
so it took me like it would take me like there'd be like key moments where I would get opened up to something like a I was in a music class with this kid that was a bass player and he starts talking about Jaco Pastorius, who was dead by that point, but
Hmm.
that drives me out to get his solo album and check it out and just be like kind of floored by the playing or like
Yeah.
having some channel on it one night and seeing like a video for Dolphin Dreams by Lee Ritenour and like so that kind of like opened me up to jazz guitar playing a little bit.
Hmm.
And same with like I've probably told this story 100,000 times about seeing Woodstock on PBS one
Yeah.
night. And
Yeah.
Sly and Family Stone, unbelievable. Like turned me into a funk fan
Sure.
overnight. Like I was like, holy shit! Like so, I think yeah. I mean, as I've gotten older, my palette has expanded.
Yeah.
I don't need just whereas back in the day, like my taste probably shrunk in some ways too. Like there was stuff that I loved back then,
Oh yeah.
simply because it filled like is the song was fast. Like it
Right.
sometimes all it had to be was a fast song, and I was like, oh, this is cool. It
Right.
had to be heavier. It had to be fast, and
Right.
I go back and listen to a lot of like the hard rock bands I listen to, like the hair metal bands, like some of the songs that I thought were really cool that were kind of fast, like good, great opener type songs. I'm like, yeah, they're kind of boring. I mean, they're
Yep.
just kind of like formulaic. And in the meantime, there's other stuff that bands did that I'm like, wow, I really missed this. Like, and Sabbath is one of those bands, like, whereas I wouldn't have been as open to air dance back then. I would have been like, this is
Yeah.
not my thing, except I wouldn't have been that politically correct about it back then. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, I think it's just like as you get older, you become more open to things. And plus, I think too, like we've talked about tonight, if you love a band but you've heard the same, the same songs get played over and over, like it opens you to like, something different from the.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't need to hear. Not that Never Say Die was a big hit, but it's like it was one that a lot of people like. So it's like if you heard it, if someone made a mixtape or something, it was on, or someone
Yeah.
played it in the car, it's like I don't need to hear that as many times. It's like I've heard it like way
Yeah.
more times in my life
Then you need to.
than I can count. Like I haven't listened to Air Dance as many times, and I just think it's cool. Like I've gotten more into progressive music over the years, and that
Right.
certainly fits in that category.
Yeah. That's a good pick. That's a really good pick.
Yeah.
I like that song
My
too.
least favorite's a Hard Road. It's it was going to be this or Over to You. Um, I don't know. Neither song is bad per se. They're just kind of like poppy, and Hard Road is like, I don't know. It's just kind of like it sounds kind of like a poppy throwaway kind of thing, but it's not a terrible song. It's just my
Yeah.
least favorite on the record. It's just the way that it falls. I'd rather listen to everything other than that. But this album went from like one where maybe it had some skippers. It's not a skipper for me.
Yeah.
The album has gone up my rankings of the Sabbath records over the
Yeah.
years, for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
It's kind of funny because, the last two Ozzy albums, before 13, Technical Ecstasy and Never Say Die were, very much maligned for a long time. And, I think I kind of bought into that for a little bit. I still had the albums and stuff, but, probably in the last 10 years, I probably reach for those two more often than I do, the other ones, or if you want to say the classic ones, just because I never listened to them as much as I did the other
yep.
ones. And they still, to this day, I mean, but at this point, we've both listened to these countless times, but they still feel kind of fresh. It's not the same Sabbath that you're used to hearing on the radio or listening to the whole album. And I kind of like that. It's everything's, you're still picking out new things on those albums, even this
Yeah, for
far into
sure.
the game.
For sure. My go to records have been over the last few years, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, and Never Say Die have been the two that I pull the most. I mean, one is my acknowledged favorite
Hmm.
Sabbath record, and then the other one, it wouldn't be in my top six, but
Sure.
it's still a great record that in terms of their catalog, or in terms of, if I were going to place it among other bands' catalogs too, I just think
Yeah.
it's one of those ones. It's like, as a Kiss fan, like I love Love Gun, but I never liked it as much as like Destroyer, but I probably listen to Love Gun more now
Yeah.
than I do Destroyer because I'm not as worn. I don't know, there's
Exactly.
just something about it. It's refreshing in a way, or
Yep.
something. So same with Never Say Die. It's just like you said, there's just I haven't beaten it into the ground, and so
Yeah. It's nice to revisit it for those reasons. Um, Oddly enough, this was the album that I had the hardest time picking my favorite because my top three can go anywhere at any time. Never Say Die. I love the title track. It's just that upbeat, cranking out, good drive. Junior's Eyes and Johnny Blade. There's those three songs are interchangeable for me. Ultimately though, I'm gonna go with Junior's Eyes.
nice.
Absolutely love that. It always kind of reminds me when me and Eric Wagner would talk Sabbath and we'd bring up Never Say Die, and he would be like, I'm gonna attempt to do my best Eric Wagner voice. He'd be like, "What's your favorite song on Never Say Die, and why is it Junior's Eyes?" And we would talk about that all the time. But that's just a great song. It's just composed so well and structurally, and it's a great song.
Yeah, the chorus on that song is phenomenal,
Badass.
man.
Yeah.
So man, it's so melodic and memorable, and I just think it like there's an emotional tug to it that is awesome.
Yeah. Oh
We
yeah.
probably should be talking about tugs on here.
I'm not gonna edit that out. I'm leaving you in that comment forever. Okay, let me before I tell. Well, okay, I'm gonna reveal it anyway. But Thoughts on Breakout?
It's cool. I mean, I like it better than the two poppy kind of songs on the record because it's kind of like just different sounding.
Okay. It's my least favorite on here, but I'd probably like it a lot more if that had ended up on an Alice Cooper album. I've always felt that song is like custom made for a little bit of a, the later day Alice Cooper albums. Not Alice Cooper band, but Alice Cooper as he went forward from there.
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
with just with the arrangement and the horns and all of that, I'm like, this could be on an Alice Cooper album. I never dug that
Black
song.
Sabbath's Cabaret.
Yes, that's exactly what it is, man. Absolutely. So that's the bottom of the barrel for me there, and that's small nitpicking. I mean, it's just whatever. But yeah, those last two are great albums. I'm glad, like you were saying, I'm kind of glad those two are finally getting the attention that they kind of deserve. And I think with that Technical Ecstasy box set coming out, I think that kind of reopened a lot of people's eyes to what was on there, and hopefully we get the Never Say Die box set and all the rest of them too.
I would love to know what's going on with those. I mean, I know that they've I guess that box set series is still going. They just skipped and did the live one, which is awesome,
Mm-hmm.
and the live one with Dio, and then the latest one was the Tony Martin era stuff. So
Yeah.
I would love it if they got back to do more of the Ozzy ones. The collections are great. I mean
Oh, they're fantastic.
those vinyl boxes are great and a great value for the money too, man. You get so I
Yeah.
mean other than the records are high quality, and then there's all kind of cool the books and stuff. All that shit in there is
Yeah.
super cool,
Yeah.
and
All
it
the
was
extras
cool
are
that they
worth it.
did Technical Ecstasy. I was shocked. I couldn't
Y-
believe they did that one. You figure like if they were gonna do one, they would have done like I don't know, Sabbath Bloody Sabbath or
Yeah. Yeah.
or
It was kind of a
do the
every
first
other.
one or instead of
Yeah.
like do one of the more obvious ones, Master Reality instead of like Technical Ecstasy, which was one of their worst sellers of
Yeah.
all time. Like
I've got
it's
them on
a
a
it's
shelf right over here, and it is. It's like they were going like every other, and
every
I'm like,
other.
why
Yeah,
why are we doing that? So yeah, I certainly hope that they fill in the gaps, and I mean, I can't wait for the Born Again. I hope that that gets a full deluxe version
dude.
too, big
Yeah,
time.
if that comes out, I want like the original mix, as shitty as
Yep,
people might think it is. Then the remix. You got to give us the live stuff, and the got to
absolutely.
have the Fallen in there, the bonus track.
Yep, yep.
Um, yeah, I hope they do that. I definitely want that to come out.
That's like way overdue. And I know it's been like, do you remember that when that big headline came out that Tony had found the master tapes and
It's
it's
2 or 3 years now.
I know,
It seemed like the Martin stuff jumped over it.
which I'm totally cool with because that deserved it too. And that's a great box set. I love that one. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
like it's hard to believe it's been that many years already since he said that and kind of got everybody worked up. So I was really waiting for Born Again to like have been out already, but
and let's be honest too. He's got to do it soon. I mean, the dude is 75, 76. So
yeah, yeah,
and he hasn't been in the. I don't think that whatever kind of cancer he has is curable. Like per se, they're keeping it in check. But it's like
yeah.
if it's something that he wants to do, he's got to.
Mm-hmm.
Um, hopefully, he's working on it. I mean,
I hope so.
it'd be great if it. I'd hate that. I'd hate it if he didn't get to. If he really wanted to remix it, that he didn't get a chance to
Yeah,
do it. So hopefully it
yeah,
comes out.
yeah. I'm hoping too. Okay, and I guess we are at the end here with 13.
Probably an album not many people even want to talk about or care about. When it came out, I think I was more enamored with it than I am now in retrospect. At one point, I remember thinking I liked it better than the Heaven and Hell record. Um, but that my opinion's
Really?
definitely changed on that. I don't think it's a god awful record, but it's just kind of like
Yeah.
Sabbath by the numbers, but it doesn't have the production values to make it fit
Mm-mm.
with the old stuff. And Ozzy's voice, the way it's produced, is different.
Ugh.
It's more like Ozzy solo.
Yep.
It's like they took Ozzy solo production values and smashed it on top of
Yep.
Sabbath or something. It just kind of sticks out. Not a lot of it gives me like some of the pieces are there. Like you think, oh, that's a Sabbath riff, that's an Iommi riff, but um,
It's very
I don't know. It
discombobulated. It's all
yeah,
over the place.
it doesn't hang together great. Some
Mm-mm.
of the songs are longer than they need to be. Um, the song I think hangs best actually, and I think is the most like Sabbath is probably the least heavy in a way, and that's Damaged Soul. It just in its bluesy, it's so bluesy, and Iommi's great on it.
Mm-hmm.
It just sounds like something I could have imagined them putting on like the first record, or you could see them playing in the clubs back in the day. It just has a more authentic vibe to it than like God Is Dead, which feels kind of like forced, or
Mm-hmm.
Dear Father, you
Yeah.
know, some of these songs.
Yep.
But I really like Damaged Soul. There's a few songs on there I think are really good. There's some like where parts of the songs are better than other parts. But I don't like the song as a whole. Then, like
Yeah.
Age of Reason has some really cool shit in it. But some of the vocal melodies are kind of like boring. Loner was one I didn't like at all at first, and then but it was like I think by like the fourth or fifth time I listened to it, I'm like, oh my god, I couldn't get that out of my head. It was so catchy. Like I almost picked it as my favorite
Yeah.
for the record, even though it's like kind of like repetitive and
Yeah.
but yeah, Damaged Soul is my favorite on this record, and
It's a
my
good
least
song.
is yeah. I mean, I just think it's good. My least favorite Zeitgeist. And normally I like that style from them. Like I love Planet Caravan,
Sure.
I love Solitude, and that is exactly why I don't like Zeitgeist because it is a pale imitation of those two
Yeah.
songs. It's lifeless. It's just not done as well. Um, I don't think it's god awful or anything like that, but it just doesn't move the needle for me. Like this
Mm-hmm.
record to me is kind of like a six
Yeah.
overall. It's passable. I'll put it on once in a great while. I had to listen to it, and I just listened to it for this, to get ready for this episode. And
Yeah.
I don't know. It just doesn't. It's kind of disappointing because there's boots of them from I guess it was around the time of one of the Ozfests when they were playing when Bill was with them, and they were playing that song "Scary Dreams"
Yeah.
live, which I thought was pretty cool. And I was hoping when the record was before the record came out
Yep.
that was going to be on here, and
I think
it wasn't.
a lot of people I think were waiting for that one too. Yep.
I mean, that kind of felt like that. At least the from the versions I heard of it from the live stuff, that felt like it would have fit. Certainly, most of these songs fit better than like freaking Psycho Man, and
Ugh.
um, I forget what the other one is from that live record.
Yeah, I can't think of the other
Um,
one either. Psycho Man was awful.
yeah, but I don't know. It was really disappointing. It turned out to be a disappointing record overall. I think a lot of us were looking forward to it. And like I said, like for a while, I actually preferred this to Heaven and Hell's record, The Devil You Know. Just that one seemed kind of one dimensional to me, but it grew
I
on me
I've had arguments
over
with
time.
people over that because I fucking love that Heaven and Hell album. I
It's like if you
love
just
it.
wanted the doomy,
Yeah,
that like doomy side, like it's like every song on there is kind of like in the same, it's kind of the same tempo. But that album, unlike this one, that one has like a couple songs that I think are like I think Bible Black is a
yeah,
classic Sabbath song.
yeah.
Like that's a great song. Like it hangs up there with some of the some of the great material that they did with Dio on Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules and
Absolutely.
Dehumanizer.
Yeah,
And there's nothing like that on here. Like if I were making a best of, if I had to include one, I would include Damaged Soul, but otherwise, nothing from this record would make a. I'd probably put the live version Dirty Women on from the special edition before I'd put anything else. But
Hey,
um,
who produced 13? I'm having a total misfire of the brain. That
Rick
wasn't
Rubin,
Rick Rubin. I kept thinking
he
Mutt Lang.
produced it. I
It's
mean,
Rick
I don't
Rubin.
know this dude. Like, it sounds like all that dude does is show up, lay on a couch, and
Yeah,
take notes or whatever, if
He's
that.
there. That motherfucker's tone deaf, dude, because the production on this album is garbage. I don't like it whatsoever. Like you said, I can't stand how Ozzy's voice sounds on here. It very much sounds like his solo albums, but then again, I'm like, is this just auto-tuned all to hell? I just it does not click. It doesn't work for me on this album at all. So
Yeah, it's and I don't know how this record was written. Like
it's very
I wonder
jumbled, and
I
it felt very forced the first time I if I remember correctly, I think Trouble's Distortion Field came out like within a week before or after, maybe the same day as 13. I can't remember. And I remember thinking, oh man, what a day today's going to be. We got Trouble and we got Sabbath. And I just remember listening to that Trouble album a lot more than Sabbath. I was just really bummed out by it. It's one of those records where I like, and we've said this before too. I like really tried to convince myself that this album is just
yeah,
the shit. I love it. It's great. And I couldn't. I could not get into it at all. Because I don't know. I can make mine real quick here. For me, and we were saying how some of the songs on there, they're almost forced to sound like classic Sabbath stuff. I
mm,
still liked End of the Beginning, even though it
yeah, it's a
had
good
that,
song.
even though it was, kind of harkening back to Black Sabbath from, the self-titled album, had a little bit of that vibe, that slow kind of plodding, moving to it, and then it picked up pace. But um, and then God is Dead. I hate that song. I never thought it was good. I know that was like the big single they put out, and I was like, no, why did they pick this one? I don't know, missed the mark for me. Maybe, if everybody else likes it, that's cool too, but I didn't like it at all.
I feel like there's maybe like a maybe they were shooting for a shock value kind of thing
Yeah, I think
um
so.
with that title, like to put it out to try to
Yeah.
like
Oh my
oh
goodness. Oh.
Sabbath is being edgy, God is
Yeah.
dead, and uh I don't know. It was kind of like a disappointing record in that Iommi still had tank in the tank in the
Gas in the tank.
gas in the tank. I mean, he did the Heaven and Hell stuff was cool. Some of the stuff he did with Glenn Hughes was good. Certainly over the years with Tony Martin and um, I feel like in that Iommi record with all the guest singers,
Yeah.
there's some good stuff on there. So I feel like they could have done so much better. I don't know how much I should have researched it really, like irresponsible of me, how much Geezer was involved in the writing on this record. I wonder
Mhm.
if it was just Tony and I think those two songs from the live thing were just Tony and Ozzy, and then I'm not even sure who played what
Yeah.
on those tracks. But yeah, man, it's kind of like a bummer that this is what they went out on. But who knows? Maybe in 20 years, when I'm at a rest home, I'll be revisiting it, being like, it's pretty good.
We'll be talking about 13 just like we were talking about Never Say Die tonight.
Yeah,
It's actually a really good album. Well, you never know. Maybe it will come to that. But yeah, I mean, for a Swan Song album, it was just a big flat tire for me. I didn't. I was bummed. I was expecting way more. I thought, maybe Tony was like saving some of the best riffs of his life in a vault someplace, and we were finally going to hear them, and it was just going to be just massive. And yeah, it never happened. But I don't know.
yeah. I don't know why I thought like, oh, Rick Rubin's producing it. Maybe they'll be able to capture that. I don't know. I was thinking of like the Trouble, the record from 1990, and
Hmm.
him working with the Crows and stuff like that. I'm like, maybe it'll be. But like, man, I don't know if I've ever been as disappointed with the production of a record
That was
from
awful.
them as this one. It just isn't where it should be.
And there was a lot of hoopla around that too. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, they got Rick Rubin. This thing's going to be just amazing." I mean, that was the most phoned in production job I've ever heard. It was awful. Like you said, it's like
Yeah,
he shows up and jumps on the couch and just stamps his name on it and leaves. And that's that. So I don't know. Who's to say? I wasn't in the room with them. I don't know what happened. I don't know the stories, but all I know is the final product for me was extremely disappointing.
yeah,
So,
for sure.
Well, there you have it. For better, for worse, that was our rundown of the Ozzy Black Sabbath albums with our favorite songs, the best, and our least favorite, the worst. How about you? Now it is your turn to tell us what did you think of those albums? We want to know. What's your favorite from each album? What's the worst for each album for you? Tell us in the comments right
And
there.
then subscribe,
Like and
smash the like,
subscribe
hit the subscribe.
with your
Very
hand of
nice.
doom. Use your hand of doom
Sonya,
to
Sonya,
subscribe.
Sonya.
All right, this was fun. This was a cool conversation, man. I was kind of like, okay, I bet I'm gonna pick every single one the same, but we had some pretty good mix-ups there. That was cool.
Yeah, I think it was a good mix.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us. Thanks to all
Thank
of
you,
our
everyone.
subscribers. We appreciate you. Tell your friends. Tell everybody. Tell grandma. She likes metal. Get her on here. We like that.
You
Like
gotta
and subscribe.
be like, there was a man. You probably know. As a Kiss fan, you got to know this. Like, I used to listen to cassettes at night. I'd go to bed. I had my whatever
Sure.
reason I freaking got a couch bed when I was. I felt like it would give me more room in my room to just chill and like. So
Yeah.
I had a bass at the time, and I thought, oh, I'll get a couch bed and I can
Sure.
roll it out at night. And
Yeah.
so I had a boom box, and I would put it like caddy corner, and I'd listen to music every night when I was going to sleep. Like
Yep.
to this day, I'm like, I can't believe I don't do that anymore because I did it, and I listen to metal like when I was going to sleep, and I put I was listening to the Vinnie Vincent All Systems Go record, and it got to the end, and there's like a pause after it. Then I just hear this, "Hey, why don't you tell your friends about us?" It scared the shit out of me. So anyway, the whole point was because I was just gonna say, "Hey, why don't you tell your friends
About
about us?" So tell your friends, subscribe.
like and subscribe.
I want to see those subscriptions up above 245 by the
Yes.
end of the week.
God dang it. We want it. We need it. Get those numbers up. We're counting on it. I don't know what we're counting on it for, but we're
I don't know.
counting on
Butchie
it.
needs a new pair of shoes.
We need to monetize.
Yeah.
All
We want
right.
to get
Well,
above the line so that we can get major labels to send us Slipknot records to review.
that's what it's
Now
all
that I've
about.
alienated every Slipknot fan,
Yeah, they're gonna be like, "Oh,
um,
these two old geezers, man. They just said
they don't know
Slipknot
what's cool.
sucked." They're talking about Black Sabbath, man.
I should have said Nickelback. Sorry.
Creed.
Agreed. In the meantime, they'll play to like 40 million people
Right.
this summer.
Yeah, that's right. There's a what are they calling it? Like the Summer of '99 tour with Nickelback and Creed and all those other bands.
I
Three
don't
Doors
know. They could
Down.
have Three Doors Down on that bill
It
and
is, yeah, yeah,
Stained, like all the
yeah.
bands that sound the same.
All those cookie cutter bands. Okay, we probably stop. Somebody's going, "Yep, definitely unsubscribe."
I'm done with For the Sake of Heaviness. Bashing on, don't be bashing on Scott Stapp. What have you ever, hey, Butch, what have you ever done?
Can you
Why
take
don't
me
you make a
higher,
record?
Butch? Can you
You
take
ever
me
make a
higher?
record like Scott Stapp?
Oh shit.
Did you ever sell a diamond record like Nickelback, Butch?
What do you got on your walls, Butch? I don't see no gold records. What do you got?
Yeah.
Merciful Mike,
All you
what
have is
you ain't done shit.
Admiral Akbar. It's a trap.
It's a trap.
Nice bobbleheads, Butch.
Tune in next time where we will be discussing the heaviest quotes from all of the Star Wars trilogies.
Yeah.
Who shot first, Guido or Han Solo?
These are not the Black Sabbath songs you're looking for.
Ozzy is not your father.
Anyway, this is like the last 2 minutes of a basketball game. Like we've just extended it beyond the threshold of pain. We will now release you. Go forth.
Go forth.
Multiply your metal collection.
God. All right.
Adorn your walls with Black Sabbath paraphernalia. Worship at the altar of Tony Iommi
The riff. The godfather of the riff.
because
Worship
Tony
him.
Iommi is Black Sabbath.
He is the hand of doom
The Hand of Doom.
with nubby little fingers. I'm merciful,
Anyway,
Mike, and that is.
I am Butch Ballich, and we appreciate all of you. Thank
Yeah,
you for
we love you.
tuning in. Definitely, let us know what your favorites are. We want to commune with you. We want to talk to you. And then like and subscribe and tell your friends, man. What have you got to lose? What have they got to lose?
Nothing. You have nothing but everything to
Nothing.
gain. Look at what you
Nothing.
can gain. You can become part of
You
the.
can gain all of this.
Yes, yes, this is our
But wait,
kingdom,
there's more.
the kingdom of heaviness. We shall crown you knights of the kingdom of heaviness.
And hey, beyond this too, tell us what you well, we got all kind of stuff. Like Mike and I got a freaking list, like a mile long of things we want to talk about. But let's hear, if there's stuff you want to hear us talk about, we'll talk about it. If you want us to like rank albums against each other, or if you want us to, list what our favorite, 1 through 10 of this album, or
Hell
you
yeah.
want us to talk about a certain band's catalog, you want us to talk about a band that's not on our radar or whatever. Like this is for all things heavy. So we're not just
Yeah,
we're here for we want to be all in this together. So join in, let us know. We appreciate it.
absolutely. We like suggestions, so feel free, man. Dump them in the comments and we'll check them out.
We're old but trainable.
We are old dogs, but we can do new tricks. I'm pretty sure.
That's right.
All right.
The only
Until
one
next
I can't
time.
do is lick my own ass.
You know why dogs lick their balls, right?
Because they can.
Because they can. What the fuck?
Oh, this is taking a turn for the worse.
For the sake of heaviness, I'm Merciful Mike. That
I'm
is
Butch
once
Ballich.
again. We'll see you on the next episode of
For the
For the
sake
Sake
of
of
heaviness.
Heaviness. We might have done it. We might have done that one. We'll see. Goodbye, everybody. Good night and good luck.
Very well.